Well, James Creedon is with us in the studio now for Media Watch. Good to see you, James.
Likewise, Laura.
Now, investors who have Facebook shares are not very happy today, nor is Mark Zuckerberg himself, in fact, because he's lost an awful lot of money. This is all because of this, the revelations about Cambridge Analytica. This is a firm that was hired by the Trump campaign and basically stole a whole bunch of data from users' profiles without getting their permission. That is the bit that's got people worried, isn't it?
So I think it's put the spotlight on the fact that Facebook has all of this data on its users, and people are sort of willingly handing it over and kind of thinking, oh, it's going to stay with Facebook, no problem. But actually, a lot of these apps that you install take a lot of your data. And so I think it's just really exposed the lack of security around information that people hand over to Facebook, and the lack of Facebook overseeing the security of that information or ensuring that it remains.
Right, people want answers, don't they, from Zuckerberg himself?
That's right. So I think this has been waiting to happen. I think people have been waiting for quite a while for the extent to which Facebook has accumulated all of this information, and along with information you have influence, you have power, you have economic, the ability to hand it on, or sort of...
It's very useful information, and it's not just the users themselves, it's all of the users' contacts.
That's right.
That's how I understand it.
That's right. And we can see through this story, through the prism of this story, the extent to which that information can be manipulated for political ends. Now, we've been looking at the facts. I'll give you more, I suppose, reactions.
This is the whistleblower.
That's right. This is the whistleblower himself. And so just some of the information that's coming out. Well, first of all, there was an attempt to sue. His Facebook account was completely deleted, as was his WhatsApp, as was his Instagram. So whatever social media footprint they had linked to the Facebook corporation or the parent company, they sort of, what would you say, clamped down on him. And Facebook knew about this information for 2 years. We now know that they not alone didn't reveal it, but were actually trying to sue, or threatened to sue at least the Guardian Observer before the information was revealed. Edward Snowden chimed in, as you would expect, a fellow whistleblower. Businesses that make money by collecting and selling detailed records of private lives were once plainly described as surveillance companies. Their rebranding as social media is the most successful deception since the Department of War became the Department of Defence. That's pretty colourful language, and not entirely untrue at all.
But we give these companies all of the information ourselves, don't we? That's the difference here. Actually, they're not spying on us. We are literally giving the data away. This
headline is very relevant to what you just said. Numerama, French kind of tech website, they're saying that you can't see the wood from the trees. They're using this image here of l'arbre et la forêt. In other words, what actually this Facebook story is hiding in some senses, or the bigger story behind it, if you like, is our lack of digital culture, in the sense that we don't know when we're online the extent to which our information is actually
because it's all really first generation, isn't it? First generation stuff. We don't really know
we're not protecting our
we're not experts
data.
In it. No,
we're not protecting our data. We don't know what installing a quiz on Facebook actually means. We don't know, when we're installing this app or that app or the other app, where that information could potentially be transited to. And when you read the terms and conditions, often people are quite shocked by that. Now, anyway, just very quickly. What really the conversation is now very quickly going towards is the need to regulate data that Facebook gets. This is an article in The Guardian. It is past time that the US, for example, recognises that data is too important to be unregulated. Will Facebook face consequences for the data it lost to Cambridge Analytica, etc.? So this is putting the spotlight on what can be done now to regulate, protect and control these flows of information.
All right, and they're doing something about it here in France, though, aren't they? Emmanuel Macron has made it one of his government's priorities to get to grips with what goes on social media, most notably cracking down on racist content, on anti-Semitic comments, that kind of thing.
That's right. So there is a link between the two, in fact. It's sort of what is the responsibility of social media to manage the flow of content on their page. And I think what Edouard Philippe, the Prime Minister, said today is if you're the editor of a newspaper, and if there's hate speech on the comments of an article in your newspaper, you have the responsibility to get rid of that, or there is a responsibility on the part of the newspaper, and it should be the same for social media.
Right, because I've noticed that more and more the newspapers themselves cancel the comments section, but they do post the thing on Facebook, and then you get tons of comments on there.
So I suppose that this is an attempt, in any case, by the French legislature to put the onus of responsibility on the social network. Now, there were several cases recently that kind of drew attention to this, but it was already kind of in the plans of the government, I think. Carla Bruni and Raphael Eindhoven's son, so he is the stepson, for example, of Nicolas Sarkozy. He's a teenager, he's a YouTuber, and he was basically the victim of a huge amount of anti-Semitic remarks. His father, I believe, is Jewish. In any case, he went on TV. He promised to try to track down the blogger. In fact, one of the people who was insulting him actually lives in Japan, and so it's very difficult to sort of. But in any case, there was this attempt to pursue in the courts the person behind that hate speech. So, but that was one person's individual attempt. Now we're seeing the state, the French state, basically saying within 24 hours you need to have that content taken down, and that's your responsibility, Twitter or Facebook. We'll see.
Self-regulation is just not working. That's what governments are saying now.
According to the French government, for sure, yeah.
All right, we'll be talking about that in a bit more detail in the next hour, in fact, on France 24. But James, for now, thank you very much.